Hello everyone, much like the people who couldn't find the initial start of the quest, it appears we couldn't find the start of the stream. We're live, apologies for that, we had a little bit of a blip trying to get things started on our streaming PC, so apologies for that. But a couple of things I want to rattle off before we jump into why is Mod Stu and Mod Jack here, and also a couple other things as well. So, couple of things to keep in mind. If you have completed URIT and you haven't got your treasure hunter keys, log out, log back in. You'll have them in your treasure hunt area, so you'll be able to use them. So for everyone who's not sure how to get them, that's how you do it. If you haven't completed the quest yet, you'll get them when you complete the quest. It was something we hotfixed just a few moments ago. I have Mod Stu, I have Mod Jack. We also have a couple of art mods in the background who are going to be showcasing some more arty things. So in the past, we've had these art streams, which have been very well received, and we thought, well, what a great opportunity to do it then with mining and smithing. So, Mod Jack, I'm going to come to you first. What are we kind of looking to see throughout all of this?
So we've got, I don't actually know your mod names. What are your mod names, you two?
There we go, just for you.
I've got one.
We've got a little sheet right there.
Oh, Mod Neil and Mod Clumsy.
There you go.
So Mod Neil, you're going to be drawing the Forge?
Yeah.
So Mod Neil's a concept artist. He's going to be concept arting a Forge live. And Mod Clumsy is going to be modelling the Necronium shield.
Yeah, I'm going to be sculpting the Necronium shield on ZBrush.
So we'll pass over to them in a minute so they can explain what they're doing themselves, I think. We're going to be doing, in the meantime, because it's going to take them a while, we'll be doing just a general Q&A. I mean, we'll prioritise art questions, but feel free to ask us anything about mining and smithing.
Yes, so we'll just be throwing things in between. So a great opportunity for you all to start asking questions, and we'll try and answer what we can. From a content and design perspective, what have you guys been up to since we last covered mining and smithing?
Well, personally, I've been on vacation for a couple of weeks in America,
nice.
so
Very nice.
I'm just catching up myself, my first day back. I did put out a latest draft of the mining site map, how we're going to distribute the mining sites across the surface on Reddit earlier today. Had a bit of feedback on that one, but not very much. I think it might be on to maybe the last draft at this point.
Awesome. What about you, Mod Jack? What have you been up to?
We've been doing drop tables, and Tom's been implementing the Artisan's Workshop design, which we tried to test today, but it turns out it's not quite working, and the XP numbers appear to be off by 10. And,
off by 10?
Yep.
Right.
And we often have XP numbers off by 10 because in code, they're 10 times larger than they appear to players. Which will constantly get, so I say, oh, this should give 800 XP. So the developer types in 800 XP, and they should have typed 8,000 XP. So we quite often get off by 10 errors.
And now, since you've said that, people may now wonder why is XP capped to 200 million? It's because in essence it's 2 billion.
It's 2 billion.
And obviously max int is 2.147.
Exactly, yeah.
There you go. If you're not aware of that, a little bit of a...
So we actually give XP to one decimal place, but you don't see that.
Yeah, a little bit of a TIL there if you haven't seen it already. So as a whole, I mean, we can't obviously start late, but I think it's a great time for us to get started. So what we're going to do here is, when I come to Mod Neil in just a moment, he's going to be doing a little bit of concept for you guys live on stream, related to something called the Dwarven Forge. So very excited for that. So in the meantime, of course, we'll switch mics on. If there's any questions, we'll try and jump in on, and we'll be going from design back to the couch and for other sections as well. So stick with us on this one. So it should be awesome. So Mod Neil, without further ado, let us throw it over to you and let's take it away.
Okay. Hello, I'm Mod Neil, and this is Mod Clumsy. Hey. And before I go into design of Forge, just wanted to show some of you guys some of the process we've gone into designing mining and smithing. So on my screen, I've got I started work on the ores, and a friend Mike started working on the actual armor design. So just bring these up, and then these are kind of the first concepts of what the ore might look like and what you kind of have to use to process it down to the bar. So these are quite cool. These are necrite heat from the bars of souls and the ghostly essence to kind of mix together to make a necronium bar. And we also had a look at how to get the material looking quite kind of magical and cool. And then there's a light animica, dark animica rock, and to make the elder rune bar. So then, as we kind of researched the different shapes we'd use for these, different colours, I went and had Mike, who's the concept who sits next to me, had a go at designing some of the first drafts of the armours. So they're the materials, and then I think these are the first concepts for the armours. So these were a quick look at orichalcum, rune, necronium, and we've actually got 2 dragons on this one, but this was kind of as he was figuring out which ones we wanted to get. and it shouldn't say dragon on it, it should say orichalcum. And then that became a set which you modeled,
which I just modeled recently. Yeah.
Yeah, so these are all kind of made and modeled just kind of to show like what set would look like and to get the kind of materials and the kind of things that we wanted. So that's the orichalcum weapons. They're kind of like, they're all cool. We're all cool with those, and everything else you'll see. And this is kind of work in progress stuff and stuff that isn't kind of the final yet. But
yeah, most of these designs we're still like going back and forth to see how they will translate into 3D.
Yeah.
But
you'll see some reasons why as well, because some of the materials I've put on some of these armors are a little bit they're dependent on the kind of, if we can do the reflections and things like that, and they might look blown out or they might look too dark or too light. So if you have a look at some of these armors, you can see that there's a kind of like different tiers of the orichalcum armor by Modbakinga Z, or Mike as I call him.
Can I ask a favour?
Yeah, sure.
Do you know when we showed all those armors just a few moments ago?
These ones.
Yeah, can we zoom in a little bit if that's okay?
Oh yeah, of course.
Just so we can have a little look. I thought everyone would be nice to see it up close, because it looks absolutely amazing.
They're lovely kind of like finish on them. They're kind of like, and this is the kind of effect we wanted to get, the kind of like metal luster in it. These are kind of like circular designs for the rune. This was a kind of to get a kind of dark magical vibe going in Necronium, because it's kind of getting metal and armor from kind of undead.
Yeah.
So
one thing we also wanted to achieve in these different kind of armors was to not just make them different in types of materials, but also in types of shapes. So have them like using circular shapes, triangular shapes, rectangular shapes.
So yeah, even from a distance, you can kind of catch a glance of the shape language in them. So that it's kind of very spiky. That one's got kind of very pitted and kind of magical looking. This is very circular, I suppose is the word. Kind of rings and lots of ripples and echoes of shapes. And then that was kind of one that was kind of going down the wrong path. So this was like a Far Eastern little plate armor. We didn't want to go down that road, so it ended up more like this. So this one and these one. So these are really pretty. These are kind of Mike's armor. So I'll show you some of the ones that aren't quite final yet, but we're still working on. Let's go up to Necronium. So these are. Yeah. This is actually. Is it you modelling this one?
Yeah, this
is
the
the
shield
shield
today.
You'd be modelling in ZBrush. So this is that kind of the undead. So they've got little kind of. I'm pointing, but no one can see that. I'm pointing to my screen. I don't know why I'm doing that. And then there's the armour, the kind of lower tier armour, and then there's the kind of upgraded versions of it. So they're a bit more flair, bit more kind of focus on these kind of cool materials and kind of drifting particles and kind of glow effect.
Can we see the before and after again? Sorry, I just feel like it needs to be emphasised just how much of a visual difference it is. Look at that!
A bit more striking. Play the complementary of the green is the red, so it's kind of going to be pretty cool.
That's so good.
The next ones are these were like little concept tests for different kind of metals we were doing. So there's bronze and iron, and I keep pointing to my screen. No one can see that I'm doing that.
Everyone does it. Don't worry.
These are just kind of like the first, like you do first drafts of things before we talk. It's like talking points for what we can do with different armors. So that these are kind of nice to have for us to kind of go like, what do we want from the armors? Do we want something that's kind of slightly magical or slightly high level, or can we even do these kind of like nice shiny metals with our new kind of pipeline? And then as we're going towards that was Necronium, we're going towards Masterwork. This was like me seeing if what could we get away with, like Vader Black to Platinum White. Yeah. And you probably can't do this in the engine without it blowing out and blooming. But this was based off of Yang.
Yeah.
His design was had kind of flared. There's probably going to be quite a few more attempts at doing this one, because the Masterworks arm's got to be like really cool, like super cool. So it's not like this does look quite cool, but it's got to be like really obviously like the coolest thing. So we're going to probably do a couple of these and just kind of figure out. So this might get chucked away or like used for something else, but might not be the Masterworks armor.
Someone mentioned with the shield, the upgraded shield is with the particle effect. Is there expected to be a particle effect when it comes into the game?
Yeah, there will be.
Oh yeah, there will be.
Awesome
for that one, because of the nature of it. You got to find it from mining and getting things from the undead. It's kind of got to have that because it sells the idea of what it is. It's kind of like these little kind of subtle glows. It's because there's quite Elder Runes, like high level and so I kind of wanted to put a bit more kind of magical into it.
Yeah.
Just because you know, that's quite a cool thing to do. Anyway, these are the Eldarune kind of designs for the kind of basic armor, shield, and swords, pickaxe, and then there's like the upgraded version, which is like kind of Greek theme to it. So it's got these circular shapes and themes. It's like leather strap work, and just kind of going from like that to kind of pulls out your silhouette slightly bigger. And then that was an early sketch for the dragon. But Orichalcum, keep saying dragon.
Yeah, it says dragon. Orichalcum. Yeah.
Everyone's at red, red metal.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not dragon. But
Jeez.
yeah, and then and then these are some Bane items that Mike's done. These again with the little borders around it. It means it's more like final, so it's like it's approved. So the stuff that you see with the white background stuff I've done is just me drawing stuff.
Not to be that person, just for everyone watching who's saying can't hear them, you just need to turn your volume on your Twitch player up and you'll be okay. Others have done it and it's fine. You're fine, by the way, just to clarify.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is amazing. This is
wow.
This is Bane
really
Bane final tier. Yeah, this is lovely. This is like based off of Gladiator armors and things like that. So it's kind of got this real heavy set look to it. And if we can get that purpley blue, that's fantastic. I'd love to see that in rendered out. And these were like the super early like material tests. Like, could we get some kind of effects on things? This is like a basic, just a hand axe. But if you put that metal on it, what would make a basic thing look cool? So, these kind of like deep contrast reflections in the red, or these concentric ripples in this kind of like cyan blue, and then these kind of almost like kind of dark flame effects on Bane. If we could get that, it's more like a test thing for us to figure out if we can do things. And these like little swirly. Keep pointing to the monitor. Swirly souls on the Necronium. So that's the state of the armor for now. And then if I go, and I'm gonna close this down.
Bit of a tight workspace to work in, understandably.
Yeah. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a look at the forge here, because we've got some work from the dwarves. Dave did this. These dwarven kits.
So that's Monty Barker, right?
Yeah, Monty Barker. Yeah. He did these kits. Oh, I should mod names. I'm not used to it. It's my first stream, everyone. Be gentle.
Let him know how he's doing. He's doing great, by the way. So,
so we got these things were done quite a while ago, actually. I think if I go back to Bridge.
Am I able to get Mod Jack and Mod Stu just to answer something for me a second?
Yeah, cool. Yeah,
awesome.
I'll just finding stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So just to clarify, earlier on they saw the axes. They're saying, are the axes going to be upgraded as a result of this update, or is it still going to be
pickaxes?
As in hatchets. It was in the concept, so they just bring it up.
We're not planning on doing new tiers of hatchet.
Okay.
Because that would require a woodcutting rework to work.
Yeah.
There will be new mining picks, but there won't be new hatchets as we currently have it planned.
That's what I just thought I wanted to clarify, because obviously it was shown. Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. That was just purely a material test picture. It wasn't a request or anything. It was just us doing it. So these dwarven buildings, these go back quite a while. Because for Kelda Grim, I don't know why a giant banana woman's popped up. That's really weird. I don't know why that happened.
Well, that's a banana boat.
Okay. And let's go. There you go.
I'm sorry.
Why
I've just been completely thrown off.
Yeah, I don't know why that happened. It's a giant banana. Why not?
Boy.
Why not? It's really cool.
Yeah.
That's where we go. So anyway,
Oh man.
These were like 2012. I did these like dwarven designs. So these are the shapes were. I hope the banana one doesn't come back, but hang on. I usually do
maybe use the mouse. You got it.
Yeah, use the mouse.
This is why I can't rely on pens as mouses sometimes.
Yeah, it works with the mouse because I use the wheel on the mouse. So these are the kind of shapes that we had for the doors, the kind of tools and cut shapes, and the angles were very much like 45 degrees and things like that. And then from this, we developed the concepts out to these buildings. These are going to be the dwarven buildings that might have gone into Kelda Grim if that was a project that was chosen at the time, but it wasn't, and that was back in 2012. So I'm going to take these.
So this was for about 6 years ago then?
Yeah,
wow, okay.
about 6 years ago. But the designs are like, the actual, the way we designed them is still kind of the way we design them now. So these are quite blocky, they're proportionally, they're quite square. They've got like lots of inlay and lots of trim and like subset metals and things like that. So I'll be using that to design that kind of method to design the forge, because that's what our dwarves would look like if they came to life. So I've taken the concepts that I needed from Mod Parker's file, and I've got this is like a screen thing from Varric with that Luke's given me. I don't know his mod name.
Mod Luke F.
Mod Luke F. There you go.
There you go.
And from here, I'll be designing just this little area here, but it's going to be I'm going to take these shapes and then actually try and draw away. So I'm going to do a Bob Ross and just start drawing and see what comes from it. So
brace yourselves, everyone. Here we go.
So let me just get rid of and move that out of the way. And so I'm going to need something that's got a kind of furnace, little door at the bottom, and a kind of chimney that comes away, and then an anvil to the side. So the way I'd kind of draw that, I've got a little palette here.
So obviously you use that palette, I presume, to get that colour, I presume, yeah?
Yeah, I've just nicked these colours from here. So I've got a shadow colour and a kind of like middle tone colour. So I'm just going to basically just you kind of block in a shape. Could be anything, doesn't really matter. Just block it in, and then I'm going to pull that about and make, just kind of like choose a cool shape. So if I like this kind of hexagon, I might say I want a kind of inlaid part here, and I kind of blur these edges and just create a kind of framework for the...
Here come the happy little comments now. Here we go.
Yeah, there you go. Little happy moments. That's what I'm after. That's what I want. So it's just like an overall silhouette is what I look for at the start. A lot of people kind of draw stuff, or you know, just kind of like you can just draw on it and just kind of like draw. Say I want the furnace kind of to come in here, and then I want a kind of like little doorway to come in here, and then I'll pick the colours and just kind of draw them in and say like I want a few steps coming down, because this is for dwarves, but it's also, you know, you as a player will be here doing this. So let me just grab that. This might get a bit slow in a minute because it's kind of...
How? I don't even understand how you're moving this quickly, genuinely. What in... Oh, jeez.
So,
wow, that's so cool.
So I'm going to put in a kind of anvil over here, and that can come up. Let's change that back to there. And then this is going to be a little kind of anvil, maybe with like a dwarven... The thing is, what you do is to not be precious with your concept. So it's just kind of like be prepared to just hack into stuff, you know, just delete stuff.
This is why they're concepts, right? It doesn't have to be like, oh my god, the best art in the world, as long as it sets the idea of what you want.
Yeah, I mean, it's good if you can make it look really good, but you know, you just kind of want to be just going through your brain and just trying to find some kind of cool idea or some kind of cool like sentiment that you just kind of that sells the idea. So if I thought a little kind of, what's this? It's hard to talk and draw at the same time.
It's understandable, to be fair.
Yeah.
They're asking for a hand cam.
Yeah, they want to see a cam
hand
of. I don't know what we can do.
No, I can do it temporarily.
Can you really?
Can you?
Can you make that work? Are you going to just hold the camera?
I'm going to hold the camera.
You're going to do the most manual production I've ever seen and hold the camera just so we can. There you go. So there's your hand cam chat.
I don't even know what it looks like.
It looks good. That's a good job.
I'm drawing stuff very fast.
It's a good job.
So yeah, I'm basically getting in these kind of shapes. So the ratio is going to be fairly square, and I want a kind of. I'm drawing this kind of front on because all I'm interested in is the design of it. It's like, what is it going to look like? So I'm going to have a kind of, say if it had a chimney, that might join up. If I zoom in on this, these all might join together and go up to the central chimney, which might look quite cool.
Nice.
So I'm going to just kind of put that in. This is maybe if this was over on the far right, I would kind of draw these pipes in. They could come across. I could put more decoration on them later, and then I could put a kind of artificial front on the front of that, which gives it a kind of chimney shape.
So what board is this? People are just wondering what hardware you're using here.
Oh, this is a Cintiq, which is just a flat screen by Wacom, which is
okay. Wacom,
I'm sure
got it.
I don't know about advertising them, but they are pretty much.
It's fine. Trust me, we have drinks and everything on our stream. It's fine. Not a problem there. So yeah, Wacom and the Cintiq. Did you say?
Yeah, the Cintiq is this a 20-something inch Cintiq.
Wow. Okay.
And it's nice. It's about A3, I suppose, is the size it is. And then for drawing on, it's kind of, if you've done a lot of drawing, then you'll be used to that kind of size. It's quite handy. And obviously for this, for this forge, I think going to depend on how ornate you want it to be, is that you could add like a dwarven kind of face on the top to overshadow it, or if I get in, start painting in some shadows and things. But this should look kind of drastically different by the time I finish with it. I'm just putting in my, you know, like landmarks of where you want things to go. And then, so if I grab that, that could be a pipe that goes off to the side.
What? So, I just find it fascinating just watching art being made on the fly. I love it, absolutely love it. I think it's amazing. It's such a talent to do, in my opinion, and it's something that I've said it many times when we've done the streams. We don't do it enough, and I feel like in situations like this, it really helps showcase just how it's done. And I love seeing the process of stuff like this. It's just awesome.
It's a funny thing to do, I think, because it's most artists kind of privately do these kind of things, but it is interesting to do it with a kind of knowing that someone's watching, because it's kind of like what would I do, and kind of what, you know, kind of where would I take these shapes and you know, take these kind of designs and just spinning the canvas to kind of use some of the designs that I've got.
Someone said, what is your base artboard size from Creative Pins? We said it's like the size of A3, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. Do you mean the actual image size itself? This is probably massive because I wanted it to be able to zoom
7680 by 4320.
Yeah,
There you go. Wow. Okay.
That's about double, because I wanted other reference on the screen, but that's probably too much. What I've done is I've set my resolution to 288, so screen res is 72. So if I turn that to 72, that would like turn that number to 1080, so it would just turn into screen res. But yeah, I've kind of it's 4 times the size it needs to be. It doesn't need to be as big as this. It's just because I wanted lots of reference on the picture on the screen at the same time.
So if you're wondering why there's a camera in the bottom right and why Modjack and wants to do with this, because they're just as entertained by this as well. And we thought we'd actually, you know, it gives them an excuse not to slack off when off camera as well.
I don't actually know whether my mic's on. So.
Is it? Well, it's about to be on now. Hold on. Now it's on.
Oh, it's on now. Okay. Because I was just not muttering to myself in case my mic was on.
We can put Stu and Jack's mic on. They can just.
I've been noting down questions that people have been asking.
Is there anyone you want to jump in while we let?
Someone just asked, how do you get the art style consistent?
Oh yeah, how do you get the art style consistent?
I always get what kind of working. We've got lots of little documents and bibles of like how we do texture and stuff like that. It's something we keep striving towards, because every artist is inherently different, and it is really a hard thing to do. So I try and I've got the kind of quite a painterly style, kind of paint everything. Some people kind of got more of a drawing style, so they draw. It's more delineated. It's one of the hardest things, and it's kind of something we're always trying to work towards. And you know, we don't always get it right, but we do try, because it's important for us to kind of get stuff you know, to the final pipeline. By the time it gets to you modelling, guys, I mean, you kind of pull in that extra bit of effort at the end, so everything's going through the same texture size, and everything's going to have a kind of that's good. That itself
usually we try to follow the
it,
concept art as much as possible when we're texturing. But yeah.
So
we can see, in the concept art, we can see that the Bane armor and the Elder Rune armor look different because they were drawn by different concept artists. But when they go through the modelling, they'll come out with a consistent style to them.
Yeah.
So in essence, it's kind of like taking that inspiration from the concept but making it one unified style. Then.
Run them on screen again, just for different.
No, it's all right. We'll talk about them later.
Not sure about the borders on this.
So on average then, I mean, something like this, how on average, obviously without having the pressure of stream watching you and so on, like, what's your average time-ish, would you say, for something like this?
Maybe just to get a first concept out, probably like an hour of just sketching, just to kind of go like to someone, this is the idea I've had. So like I'm not enjoying that doorway thing so much, so I might try something else. This is a nice shape, this kind of like T-shaped thing. And that's the other thing, is when you're drawing something, you don't necessarily have to keep it. You can just draw another thing, because if it doesn't take you very long, you can just do another one and just kind of say like, I'd rather it, you know, you came up to a forge, and then this was like a kind of like heavy duty lock shape, and then you had some steps coming up to it at the bottom, and then these sloped away. This is just kind of rough sketch, and you can kind of erase the bits you don't want afterwards.
Someone mentioned about the brushes. Is this a custom brush you pack, or is it just your default?
This is a custom brush. I think it's called Chisel Chalk.
Chisel Chalk.
Which is what I named it.
There you go.
Yeah, there's lots of brushes that I've made over the years. There's like this.
Oh, so all of these literally ones you handcrafted yourself then, basically?
A lot of them.
Awesome.
Some of them have been stolen off other people, shamelessly.
No, that's a shameless admittance right there. Fair enough.
Yeah, there's loads of them.
Awesome.
I tend to you only end up using like one or two though, to be honest. This one's really nice. These art pens which I've made, which are kind of like good for painting things. So you kind of choose it and it creates a wedge. Then as you change the brush around, you can paint like horizontally or vertically, which is nice. So you can kind of, it's really good for painting things very quickly. You can just kind of knock stuff in. But the chisel chalk, which is the one I use, it is good for just laying in like just kind of softish shadows. And then I use a blur, which is the X button, which is smudge in Photoshop. Probably isn't the X button. That's probably map that to X. It's probably something else. And then you can just use that to soften shadow. So you can kind of say like, oh, that shadow tapers in, and there's a hard edge there, and I can make that bit lighter to make a surface that points up, and then put shadow underneath it, and then blend those shadows down so it looks like it's kind of, this volume's coming towards you, and eventually you'd use more than two tones, and you'd make the whole shape come towards or push back with lighting, and choose kind of a lighting angle. But initially, for the first concept, it is purely about like, what am I drawing? What are the shapes that I'm trying to create? And then you go from there. And so if I'm happy with like a little sketch I've done, I can either like draw it with a line tool pen, which is this kind of pen. So I'd probably draw it out like a little sketch. What I like to do is draw it on paper.
Yeah.
Because it's just really a great way of doing something. But on the computer, I'll use the kind of brushes because you may as well. So I'm just trying to figure out if I want kind of like columns either side of this columns either side of this building.
So for people asking about gear stats and everything, we will answer that when we're back on the couch before we come ready to come over to Mod Clumsy for his modelling bit. So keep an eye out for that. When we're back on the couch, we'll talk about some of the gear and stuff.
Yeah. The next phase I'd probably do is I'd probably kind of go in and just put like where I wanted the metal. So if this was like a little door for, where you would put the fuel in for the things, you could kind of like put that in and then figure out, what's the dwarven looking handle look like, and then just kind of like start painting more kind of the final values of the design on it, and then you can figure out.
I think you just answered that question, John.
Where your little designs will go.
You just started drawing with colour on it.
Yeah, there's someone asking if you usually start working from like black and white values.
Oh right, yeah. These are well, it looks like I'm starting black and white, but these are colour. This is like a slight cyan, and this is kind of blue, dark blue. Yeah, there's no point in working in black and white in Photoshop because you can just do this, and then it is black and white. And then it's
Yeah.
So it's
Magic of technology.
And the reason I say that, it's not as a joke. It's just that it is harder to add colour to a genuinely kind of colourless document.
Yeah.
It genuinely is not worth doing it. You may as well do it in a dark colour of some sort, and then use it in a light colour of some sort, and then you. By the way, to make it go to make it go black and white, there's a proof setup, and by default it's working CMYK, and you can change that.
Can I just say, I love how you're actually, just for people who might want to get into this, how you give advice and stuff. I think that's amazing.
For a few people, this is grey perceptual. So that's perceptual. I mean, it's how you would kind of see the colours, and then grey cam 1.8.
Awesome.
And that's kind of a handy little hint. The other brilliant thing about this way of painting is you can check your values, and when you select your colour, it will still show the colour, and you can also paint with the colour. So if you come back,
that's pretty cool.
you come back, it will still be in colour.
Yeah.
So that's like a real handy hint for anyone who's doing a bit of shading. Yeah, so I mean, I'm at the stage now. I'm just kind of probably going to noodle and move bits about, fiddle with it, and erase the edges, and kind of like and ah about it for a bit. Because that's the other bit about drawing, isn't it? It's a bit of fun. It's just kind of like you got to sit back and kind of go like, actually, do I like that? It's a bit simple for me. I think it's a bit.
There's another question here. Why CMYK instead of RGB for digital painting?
Oh, I think just by default, Photoshop will do CMYK because it assumes you're trying to print something.
Yeah, it's also better for printing.
Yeah, it's for
and
printing.
obviously you guys do end up printing stuff as well. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, we will print stuff, but yeah, generally we it's more for like.
Can I just say, I know you say you don't like doing it in black and white, but I love how you're still doing it in black and white anyway.
Oh
with the
yeah,
colours.
I forgot.
You're just casually doing it in black and white anyway.
It doesn't really matter. Yeah,
Yeah.
You just kind of you get on with it, and then here's another thing. This is a really useful tip for Photoshop. So any Photoshop users watching this is that this little lock layer transparency. I know a lot of people wouldn't know just that bound to a. If you can see where my mouse is.
Yeah, they can.
That bound to a shortcut key is invaluable because you can just turn it off and then draw something. Turn it on, and you can draw within that thing. It's just lovely because you can just kind of like quickly create a kind of. Like that's a bracing part that's going to hold this pipe up.
So yeah, the reason why, again, just to clarify, we use that style is because we do often print concept art around the office. Sometimes for giveaways, sometimes it's just for demonstration.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier to have that.
It's like free decoration.
Free decoration.
We just put it up all around the office as
Yeah, we
decoration.
just cover it all. Like, this is the Binding and Smithing wall. Do it all there. Also.
Yeah, so I don't know if you want to talk more about the Binding and Smithing and have it on in the background of a photo, because I'll just probably be refining
Sure,
it.
and we'll pop back to the
few.
couch. We'll have a few questions, and we'll come to you, Clumsy, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll come to you from Molly. All right, let's go back to the couch. I'll go join these guys, and then we'll be over with you.
Here he comes.
Figure out these angles because these are all fun.
Right. Oh man, I love art stuff. It's great.
You're going to do something with your microphone to make Shed sad now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to literally make Shed sad because this is not what he wants from a professional mic clipping perspective. But I have to go. I've got to get run back and forth. Right. So.
That's such a sad-looking man over there.
Okay.
So we'll leave the screen up of Mod Neil working away, and while doing that, we'll kind of talk about some of the stuff we're shown there. So. They've been talking about the gear and its stats and everything else. So, in an overview, what is Mining and Smithing looking to add? What levels and so on?
Yeah. So this is documented in the design document. So do go have a look if you're interested. So broadly speaking, there's two kinds of armor in the rework. There's the leveling armor, which is what you're going to be making to level your smithing skill. That's all the stuff that they're showing you.
Coming to your rescue. There you go.
Huh? Yep.
There you go.
And then there's masterwork armor, which is not for leveling, and it's going to give bad XP because we specifically don't want people making it for XP. And there are two tiers of masterwork armor. So sorry, I'll finish the leveling armor first. So you've got your tiers 60, 70, 80, 90. There'll be tank armor. At the top end, they'll have artificially lowered stats. So the stuff that requires 90 smithing to make and 90 defense to wear won't be as good as 90 tank gear.
Okay.
We are currently debating and discussing whether it degrades and how much it degrades by. I'm hoping we can get away with having it not degrade, with the justification that being tank armor, it's not that good anyway, but that may not be okay with the Combat Council. So we're having that discussion at the moment. Yep. But for the most part, we're not expecting that gear to be particularly useful. That's not the point. It's for leveling smithing. And because of the way the smithing mechanics work, where so if you played the beta, you know you could decorate and destroy the armor for more XP. We've rethemed, it's the same mechanic, but we've rethemed it with the Artisan's Workshop design. Okay. So it's burial armor in the Artisan's Workshop. You go to the Artisan's Workshop with your fully upgraded armor, and you go to the dwarves at the back of the room, and you destroy it to make burial armor. And that gives you very good XP. So the smithing skill inherently destroys that armor. It's not intended for, is the chat going mad?
No,
it's not intended for actually using, if that makes sense. So, because there's already so much armor in the game. Okay. Your basic Bandos is going to be better for the most part.
So in essence, if you're looking at the XP at the expense of armor being destroyed, then that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then you've got this Masterwork armor, which gives bad XP. So you've got Masterwork armor, which can be made purely with the mining and smithing skills, but it's extremely time consuming to make. That is level 90, tier 90 power armor, almost exactly the same as Malevolent.
So you can literally make your own tier 90?
Make your own tier 90, but it will be very time consuming and very expensive to do.
Got it.
So practically speaking, if you want it for the combat stats, Malevolent will probably still be cheaper. So we're not expecting people to make Masterwork because it's now good. But then there's upgraded Masterwork, which is tier 92. That's a piece of Masterwork armor combined with pieces of Torva and Malevolent.
So let's clarify, this is tier 92 armor.
Tier 92 armor, requires 90 to wear, 92 stats. So this will be the best power armor in game. We recently changed the design based on player feedback, so it doesn't degrade to dust, it degrades to broken.
Awesome.
You'll repair it with more Masterwork armor, because that's supposed to be the sink for smithing. Now, in all of this, we don't know how the economy is going to work out.
Of course.
If no one is making Masterwork armor, the price of Masterwork armor on the G will be so high that no one can afford to use it. So if that happens, we'll have to look at the design and maybe simplify it, change it, something. We will be paying attention to it because we just can't work out how it's going to work in practice. This is more complex than previous boss drops where it's literally just you get the drop, you combine it with some other stuff, there's the armor. We know roughly how that economy is going to play out because we've done it a lot before.
Yep.
In this case, we've never done anything quite like this.
Does the new Masterwork armor degrade? Someone said there. Does the new Masterwork armor degrade?
Yes, it will degrade to broken.
Degrade to broken. Got it.
So Masterwork and upgraded Masterwork will degrade to broken.
Awesome.
You repair the upgraded Masterwork by just combining it with a new piece of Masterwork armor, which is intended as a sink for Masterwork armor.
So I like how you use an item on another, the same item on the same item to repair. Okay,
exactly,
awesome. So you mentioned beta. Is there any potential future betas at all?
Yes, we're planning another one towards the end of the year.
Okay.
We don't have a final date for it yet. Someone in the chat was saying like we were holding it back to keep people playing. That is very much not true. We want to get. Someone also said Stu and Jack get back on Quest, and we said yes, we'd love to do that. We're going to get this. We'll get the rework done, but we're not rushing it specifically. We're not trying to get a batch one out as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
The thing about the rework is the changes that we've made break a whole lot of content, and we've got to fix those things. We can't just leave them. We can't leave them broken because in a lot of cases they will literally just crash the game. So we're going to be doing a second beta to check for that sort of thing. But because of that, the beta kind of has to be feature complete.
Yes.
We can't just not address parts of the game because if we don't, then the beta will crash when you try and play it. You go try to do some obscure thing and it will crash. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done before we get to that point.
Right, couple quick fire things. Can you augment the tier 92s?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And dice? Will it be dieable?
Maybe, probably not, maybe.
So this is obviously, so to clarify the die process, just so everyone's aware, obviously die models nowadays, because of augmentations and so on, there's a lot to do for one die in that sense.
It sounds like a straightforward job, but it's actually a huge
So it's if the time is there, I presume.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I kind of want to talk about the post you made, Stu, just before we come over to Clumsy for modelling. So in essence, if people haven't seen this post, can you kind of clarify what this post is, what it goes into, and so on?
Yeah, sure. So basically, the mining sites in the game currently just go up to Rune for the most part. You've got some edge cases like concentrated coal and things, but basically mining sites go up to level 50 in the new one, and we're going to be adding in a few other tiers of armor. And the ores that you use to create them and the catalysts that you use with those ores to make the bars. So it's about looking at where the mining sites are in the game at the moment, seeing which ones are redundant, which ones we can repurpose for high tier ones, and also looking at the distribution of catalysts and primary ores across the world and see, well, can we put this, is it better to have this one on this opposite side of the continent, this on this side of the continent, so that you have travel back and forth, but also with things like how prolific teleports are, that isn't really that big of a deal anyway. Yep. One of the requirements that I have is that that a skiller should be able to do this just by leveling the smithing skill, and that shouldn't require the player to have completed any other quests or anything like that to access certain ones. So they all need to be there needs to be a primary source of each one of the ores up to level 90. So so like thematically, it would be nice, for example, if light Animica, the level 90 was Seren themed and went at something like Prithinis or the Elven Lands, with that being all quest locked. That doesn't really fit too well with that. So light Animica is more about Elder God energy, so that gives us a bit more of a leeway. So we've revised some of the lore as we go along, just to also looking at the geography. So basically, it's just been about looking at those different attributes, the theme, the placement, what things are within the free-to-play area, how accessible things are, what things are quest locked, and trying to juggle all those different components and make a map that satisfies some of those requirements. And then I've been putting it out in several iterations, getting player feedback. As with when this tends to happen, you usually have a lot of contradictory feedback, but I've been trying to accommodate as many points of view as possible. So I have something that it may not necessarily satisfy everybody, but hopefully satisfies most. And we'll see how we go from there.
Someone's asking, are your shorts tier 92?
Yeah, I apologise for the shorts. I wasn't aware I was going to be on stream today.
You don't need to apologise. There's no need to apologise.
I think you should boldly own the shorts.
So you have to bask in the glow of my white thighs, I'm afraid.
So if we look at tier 50 to tier 90, in a nutshell, if you can remember, what is the, so obviously we saw the concepts of armors and so on with their names. So what is the name of each armor? What tier do they correspond to?
So 50 is Rune still. 60 is Orichalcum, which is, no, we haven't got the concept art. Someone was asking, could they see it again? We did actually put that concept art out a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I should pimp the Discord actually. There's an official RuneScape Discord. I don't know if you guys can post a link for it. There's mining and
Discord.gg/RS. We'll pop it in the Twitch chat for you, so you guys can jump on that.
If you want, Discord is great for us because I can chat to players while I'm on the loo or just at home.
Just your live feedback.
I'm supposed to be watching the children. Instead, I'm chatting on Discord with players.
That's not even a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's not a joke.
The problem with the official forums and stuff is we have to do them in the office. But
yeah, we kind of have that flexibility with Reddit, but not the live commenting as Discord provides.
So if you want to ask us questions, feel free. Twitter, Discord, Reddit is a good place to ask questions.
So tier 60 is Orichalcum.
Yes. So the Orichalcum concept art we put out a while ago. I didn't get it ready for John to show now, but
that's fine.
That is dragon armor. Now, some players suggested, I think, a different way. I've been thinking about the lore that the distinction, Orichalcum is the metal, and it's the metal that dragon armor is made of. What I'd written is it hasn't been worked in dragonfire. A player suggested it should be dragonkin breath, which I think is quite neat, the idea that dragonkin just heated it themselves. And that's what's so special about dragon armor as opposed to Orichalcum. So that's roughly the lore idea there. It's the metal, but not the method, because obviously getting a live dragonkin to heat it for you is not really practical.
Tier 70.
Tier 70 is Necronium. This is metal that is left over from the armies that died in the God Wars. So the God Wars had huge massacres, masses of people died, particularly in 4 and 3, but elsewhere as well. Huge numbers of soldiers would die.
Beautiful timing.
Yeah, Necronium. There we go. So this is metal and armor that already existed in the God Wars. God Wars was also a time of tremendous magical energy. Gods were firing off spells and just wiping out people en masse. So the combination of those two things, ancient armor combined with ancient magic, all just sort of stewing in the ground for several thousand years. People come across it now. They
God, that upgraded one looks so good. Sorry, I'm jumping away. I always have to mention it. It looks so good.
I mean, this doesn't have any real mechanical effect, but the notion is essentially that this is sort of powered by all the death and souls and magic. And the idea is that it's thematically similar to Barrows. It's not, I mean, the Barrows weren't buried underground for several thousand years. I guess they sort of were, but you know what I mean? They weren't literally buried. But the idea is that it's a sort of death-themed, green-themed, you know, that the association is there even if the process is a bit different.
T80.
80 is Bane.
Bane.
Has been controversial. We had a 9-hour discussion a few weekends ago.
All right, talk to me about that in a nutshell. Try and sum it up.
What
the controversy behind Bane.
The controversy is whether or not it should be locked behind Wild Gothic Sleeps.
Got a question.
No, Ritual of Majorette, sorry.
So I look at this, I kind of see comparisons to Mithril armor. In a way, is that something that's come up, or is this just me? Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
I think that it has a very distinctive texture that you can't quite make out in that concept art. If you can you bring up the Bane weapons? It's much clearer on the weapons. It has a very distinctive texture feel that I don't think looks like Bane, looks like Mithril at all. And the armor itself doesn't look like Mithril, so I'm not too worried about that.
Go back to Wild Gothic Sleeps. Did you? So what was the?
So it's a Ritual of the Majorette. So the controversy, plot-wise, Bane is trapped behind Ritual of the Majorette.
Yes.
And the plot of Ritual of the Majorette, it doesn't really state this, but it heavily implies that Bane weaponry is going to be important in the oncoming fight against the Dragonkin. Well, it didn't save the Ketzians, but it's what the Ketzians hoped would save them, which ultimately didn't. But it strongly implies in the plot that this is going to be a handy thing to have. The problem, of course, is that our philosophy on quest prerequisites keeps changing, and we are unlikely to lock future Dragon King content behind Ritual of the Majorette.
Right.
If that's true, if it's not locked behind Ritual of the Majorette, then either Bane isn't locked behind Ritual of the Majorette, or Bane isn't in future Dragon King content. Those are the sort of choices, if you see what I mean. So for me, this is a great opportunity to sort of take an existing piece of metal that has a great deal of significance, albeit it's only mentioned a tiny bit, but the significance is huge within the RuneScape lore, and sort of bring it more to prominence. Because the way the 6th Age works, all 5th Age content has technically been completed, So even if the player hasn't completed Ritual of the Majorat, technically they have completed Ritual of the Majorat because they've completed World Wakes, because the player is the World Guardian, is the foundation point of the Sixth Age.
So, in essence, what was
They've
decided?
got Bane armor.
Yeah?
We're doing it.
Oh, you're going to do
great.
it, right.
It's great. It helps. It's good because it means the tier 80 equipment, if we let it be tuned, has a use to it. Because I was saying, this armor's mostly cosmetic. It's not really going to be that useful because there's so much gear in game. Actually, the way we currently have the mechanics, a tier 80 Bane weapon, which is tuned against its target, we're currently thinking is 25% damage bonus, no accuracy bonus. That's what we're currently envisaging as the mechanics for it. Will actually be better than a dry gore against its tuned target, which actually gives it a legitimate mechanical purpose within the game, and I really like that.
So you now
otherwise
have,
these weapons would just be useless. Right?
And also in a way a little bit of a sink because of the cost to do Bane as well in that regard. All right, awesome. There you go.
But it won't be locked behind Ritual of the Majorat.
Got it. And tier 90.
Is Elder Rune.
Elder Rune.
Also a controversy, but this is entirely about the name. A lot of people just don't like the name.
Okay, go for it.
Because it's kind of simple. It's just too basic. Elder Rune. It's just rune with the word elder stuck on the front to make it sound better, right? And that's a legitimate criticism.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it raises an interesting point about development that we have to sort of think about the mining and smithing rework is not primarily a lore update.
What was the name before?
Ethereum.
Ethereum, so with an A, I presume.
Ethereum.
Yeah, Ethereum, yeah. Right.
With the mining and smithing rework is primarily an economic skilling update.
Yep.
So comprehensibility is important. The ability to just search for things on the GE is important. The fancy sounding lore names are less important for this content. In something like a quest, and like with me and Stu, I think if you've played any of our content, you will know that we are not ashamed of sticking massive Latin words in that no one understands, including any of the developers. And we're not worried about doing that. But when we're talking about the new highest tier metal in the game, the primary training method that will get you from 90 to 200 million, it needs to be simple, straightforward. So the fact that the best kind of log is an Elder log and the best kind of metal is Elder Rune is a good thing from a usability point of view,
so,
even if it's a bit boring from a lore point of view.
Okay, that's fair. So was that in consideration? And now obviously we have our Elder logs. It kind of makes sense because that's the highest tier for woodcutting.
Yeah, it's not exactly an intentional strategy, but it ties into the sort of concept of the game. And I agree completely that the lore, that as a word, it's just not that interesting. But that's not the most important consideration.
Awesome. All right. So I think we're going to come over to Mod Clumsy in a moment because he is going to show you some awesome modeling. You guys are going to enjoy this. So let's come over to Mod Clumsy now.
Cool. So yeah, I thought I would start with showing off the orichalcum stuff I did already, so you guys get an idea of how I usually work. So basically, we get the concepts from the concept artists. So these ones were made by Mod Nicepants. These are really good because they're all like, they don't have perspective, they're just flat, and these are really easy to model on top of. So here you can see like the orichalcum shield, and basically we always start with an high poly sculpt, and once we're done with these, we move to the low poly. The way I usually work for RuneScape is I always like to load up the base player character and some size references like existing in-game shields to get a sense of scale whenever I start sculpting. Once I'm done with these, I move to the low poly, which I'm not going to show now. I usually do my low poly meshes in Maya, but Maya is not, it's quite boring software to look at. So these are like the in-game models. They're quite low poly.
I just realised you can't even see my face because of the camera position. So when I'm standing up, it's like a disembodied head.
Fine, we just want to see your t-shirt.
I quite like to.
You quite like it like that, Shed? I thought you would. I thought you would.
Bernie, they're asking about who you are. Can you tell them some recent content?
Yeah, well, look at what content have you worked on, Clancy? Because we haven't really had a chance to talk about that.
So yeah, I joined Jagex like a year ago. I think the first team I worked for was the Eternals. I worked on one of the expansions.
Nice.
My first update, I think it was Invention Batch 2.
Oh, so you're a part of machines and everything
Yeah,
like that?
I did
Awesome.
a Divomatic.
Divomatic, yes.
Yeah.
Divomatic, yep.
And after that, I worked on Pirate Quest. I did Barrel Chest, Migor, Rabbit Check.
So all of the graphical updates for those models?
Yeah, all the graphical updates for
Nice.
those. I worked on Solak and Merthel.
Hype for the end of the month, people.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
there was like, yeah, I'm really thankful for all the feedback I got from players on Marathon. Really appreciate it. And yeah, now I'm working on mining and smithing. I also helped in another quests. I think I helped in You Are It, and I don't know. There are always like little jobs we.
Been busy, to say the very least.
Yeah,
I've
been very busy.
Awesome.
Yeah, so back to this stuff. Yeah, once we're done with the low poly, we move to 3D code, which is basically what with. No, yeah, there's someone asking about ZModeler. These are not made with ZModeler. These are all made in Maya with Quad Draw tool. Yeah, thanks.
You saw the accent bit, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, so once we're done with the low poly, we move into 3D code. 3D code is like it's the best software to texture. I really love it because it's very similar to Photoshop, but it works with 3D models. So when we start here, we always start with an ambient occlusion map, which is basically it's generated by the software and it calculates all the contact shadows between every piece of geometry. So this really helps like setting up the base, our base textures. It's a really nice base to start painting from.
So it's essentially coming up the bluepeint for your item.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Once we're done with the ambient occlusion, I start rendering the metals. So for orichalcum, because it's red and that you don't really paint red metals ever, especially these ones because they have like this kind of orange and yellow highlights. So I thought it was easier for me to start painting with like a more proper like real metal instead of going crazy with these purples and reds and all that, which is really tricky to start with. So yeah, basically I just started rendering like normal metals. Then you had like some base colors, more values.
So we can see how you're taking layer by layer, basically.
Yeah, I kind of stopped. Okay, yeah, yeah. So this is like the middle ground. I'm gonna load the final one. It's probably gonna take a bit to open, but yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So today I'm gonna start sculpting the necronium.
Holy, oh jeez, I have to watch my PG filter there. Close, damn.
Yeah, so
awesome.
this is like the final pass of texturing.
Okay.
I didn't do much between the final one I showed on the previous file and this one. This is just like a layer with a color dodge, just like going crazy with highlights and making it look a bit more like metal.
We've managed to load them into game now.
Oh yeah, they're all in game.
And they actually do look like that in game.
Yeah, they do.
This isn't like a special, super good looking version.
Damn. Okay, that's awesome.
We'll get in-game screenshots out as soon as we can get it working reliably.
Yeah. Regarding like someone asked about consistency like minutes ago, one thing we're trying to do with this project is having me like throughout the whole project. Because one thing happens sometimes when there's like two modelers working on the same project, we get like a bit of different style.
So we're looking for like a unified
so
style.
we're like trying to have me working on this till the end of the project. It's gonna be insane. I'm gonna do so many different armor sets and
this is now you for the rest of the year, right? Basically.
Yeah,
this
basically.
Is now your life.
This is my life now. Goodbye NPCs and but it's actually been a lot of fun and the team has been talking a lot, which is good. We talk a lot between concept artists and modelers to have their. We give them our feedback. They give us our feedback on the texturing and on the modeling. It's actually pretty good.
The pickaxe looks absolutely amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. That's so cool. Wow.
It's a good way to get consistency as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you get final sign off on something, then it should look.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I feel like it's very important to mention, like you kind of mentioned it, but having like that one modeler all the way through, making sure it's that same style all the way will make it a lot better than 80% of it is done by you, for example. Then someone else has their style, and you can clearly tell the difference.
Yeah,
so I think
exactly.
it's really awesome.
I think we're trying to do that more and more. I think with Pirate Finale we did the same. I worked on throughout the whole Pirate Finale. I think Mod Zane will help with the horrors or something like that. But all the other NPCs that were reworked, they were all reworked by me.
And this is how, just to clarify again, this is how they look in game right now. It's just
yeah, these are the low res textures and the low poly meshes. This is all like that went in game.
Awesome.
And yep, so I'm gonna move to ZBrush now. Probably start sculpting the Necronium shield, which is like the first stage of the whole project. So let me see what I have here. Okay, so I have the Orichalcum shield here as a size reference. And one thing we really want to do with these shields and weapons, we really want to make them look badass. And
hell yes.
Big means, I think badass means big.
Badass is a perfect word for this, I think. So yes.
So, okay. So I have the Orichalcum. I also have this guy here, which is quite helpful as well. These are existing in-game shields. And I have a skull that I'm gonna use as a base. I also have the concept up here. Let me get rid of this. Cool. Yeah, it's edgy looking.
It's edgy looking.
Yeah, that's normal. And I'm also making it look a bit more edgy so I can actually see my brush strokes better and all that. So the way I worked in ZBrush, I always start with primitives. So in this case, I'm just gonna load like a sphere. That's basically there's no real magic in ZBrush. You just work it like clay.
The magic is speed. What in God? I'm mesmerized by the speed of it. I think it's mental, honestly. It's incredible. No, don't slow down by all means. I just think it's crazy how you just. What is this?
Okay, so yeah, one thing when I first saw like this concept that Neil made, I was completely blown away. And when we spoke about the live stream, I thought it was a pretty good concept to sculpt live. Let's see what happens. Okay, so gonna mask these, gonna add a bit of curvature here.
So I guess I'll let you crack on and answer a few questions just to let you do that. So well, Jack, Mod, Stu, come to you guys. Just clarify, Orichalcum, what tier is that? Just for everyone on stream who's getting a reminder.
That's 60.
Tier 60.
Yeah.
So this is
same
tier
as,
60.
It'll be same as Dragon. We may have to buff Dragon. We're not sure at this point. Because as it is at the moment, because Orichalcum can be upgraded and Dragon can't, the Orichalcum's going to end up better. Now, it kind of doesn't matter because Dragon's been redundant for a long time. Like, Dragon only really exists for sort of prestige and nostalgia. It doesn't actually have much of a useful in-game function anymore. So we probably don't need to buff it, but we might do. On the app, there's also not much reason not to, so we might buff Dragon slightly. But it's still, I mean, Bandos will still just be better, so it doesn't really matter.
What's next for you guys? Like, if we were to say, let's say you guys were back on stream next week, what would you be looking to do in the next week?
That's a good question, actually. There's a lot of balancing still to do. We have to sort out the next biggest unanswered question is the overload. The overload. So this is a smith. This is an untradeable benefit for having a high smithing level. This is a complicated piece of design because it so tightly affects combat. It's intimately tied into combat balancing. Whatever it is that we do becomes assumed as a default thing that high-level players can do, and therefore has to be factored into all future boss design and balancing. So it's actually a much more complicated. It's very, very simple to write a simple design, and it's actually quite easy to implement as well. But the impact of it on the game is going to be so large that it requires just continual discussion with all of the combat developers.
So in a nutshell, what is the overload? Like, what are you looking to do with that overload? So
I'm aiming for it to be as simple as possible.
Okay.
So as an example of a simple design, and I'm not saying this is what it's going to do because this is problematic from a balancing point of view, I just want it to be a straight damage bonus because that's simple to understand, it's simple to appreciate the benefit of. The problem, of course, is that just if it, say, increases your damage by 20%, which is a ridiculously high number, but for sake of argument, that just means all boss kills are now 20% faster, which means all loot acquired through combat is now acquired 20% faster. I mean, it's slight oversimplification, but the maths is essentially that. So obviously introducing a massive DPS bonus for all players has a huge, huge impact on the economy and the balancing of the game. So it's not as simple as, let's just give players a damage boost.
So someone said, why make a skill in Fin affect combat? So why make a skilling reward in essence from skilling effectively?
I mean, the simple version of the answer is we asked players about that a few years ago, and that was the answer we got. Having it affect skilling is complicated because skilling, at the moment, with the design of most of the skills, mostly all we do, there are two ways to make a skilling update, say a reward for a skill. One is it just gives an XP bonus. The other is it does something that's complicated and intricately involved with that skill. So it picks some mechanic from that skill and interacts with it in a complicated way, which is typically very difficult to balance, prone to bugs and breaking, messes up the skill next time someone else wants to change a skill. You can see a lot of that in the kind of things that we've done. That's where all the rewards that become redundant come from. There's a lot of that going on with the mining and smithing rework. So actually affecting skills without just giving them straight XP bonuses is very... The effort to reward is not really there, if that makes sense, because ultimately all that means in practice is you end up getting faster XP.
I'll ask you one more question, but just for people who are watching the stream now, going, has this just started? Not to be the bearer of bad news, we started an hour ago. This is a 2-hour stream, so we're planning to go all the way up to 5 p.m. game time or 6 p.m. here in the UK. Could go a little longer depending, but because we did start almost 10 minutes late. Coming back to you, why not? We'll Clumsy, and one more, and then we'll come back to you, Clumsy. Why not a defensive bonus for this overload?
Yeah, that's one of the options. The problem, of course, you can see from the comparison of power armor and tank armor in the game, is that defensive bonuses simply aren't as useful. A defensive bonus would have to be extremely strong, like, you know, halve your food consumption or something, in order for it to be worth the bother. Like, players, and it's not players' fault, it's because of the way that the combat in the game works, typically you do very low risk. You know, if you're doing something risky that's likely to result in you dying, that's not what you're doing for profit. So defensive bonuses have to be very strong to tip the bonus, to, you know, tip the balance from it's a dangerous encounter to it's not a dangerous encounter, or from, you know, obviously there's tanks in group activities and stuff, but that's a very, very niche piece of content. So we can see from the way that power armor is used that damage bonuses are what players actually respond well to, if you see what I mean.
Stu, what are you up to in the next week or so? So if we were to come back next Tuesday and we had another stream, what would you have worked on in that time?
Hopefully I'm on the final iteration of the mining site design, because that's gone through a few iterations over several weeks, and I need to get on with getting a lot more actual implementation done. So get that implemented, I hope, get all the mining sites replaced in game, deal with all the corner cases that will create where you need to interact with mining sites for tasks, for certain quests, like what's mine is yours, requires you to have certain sites in certain places, where that impacts mining sites that are unlocked by quests, and trying to keep them somewhat relevant, dealing with potential challenges related to that. So once I've resolved that, then moving on to the next things on the list. I believe the next thing I was going to look at was probably tools and things on the tool belt.
Yes, tool belt, yeah. The tool belt's a huge problem because, as they're currently designed, you can't take things off the tool belt. But, of course, because you can now upgrade them, you need to be able to take them off in order to upgrade them. So we're going to have to figure out what that means.
And had to do some very convoluted workarounds to that for crystal equipment
we
thinness. So
kind of allow you to take it off with invention.
Yeah, that as well. So we've progressively added complicated workarounds to that rule over time. So
from a technical point of view, it's not
fun, I can imagine.
Although there is a precedent, it's not a technical precedent.
Agreed.
Exactly.
I think it's safe to say the tool belt update we had recently might help a little bit in that regard, especially for you guys.
Yeah, that's simplified the code of the tool belt significantly. So if it's viable for us to make it a standard feature to remove tools under that framework, it's probably going to wind up being the simpler option, and then we can rip out a lot of those workarounds that we did previously to try and keep that rule in place.
Awesome. Right, Clumsy, I'm going to come back to you. Someone said this is like watching a speed run, and when I look at it now, the progress made is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Wow,
okay.
This is awesome. What have you done so far?
What I've done so far, I'm just trying to block out the shapes. I've used a skull that comes integrated with ZBrush. It's under tools. You can grab, like, there's a skeleton here for those who are interested about that. It's always good to try to reuse stuff as much as possible to speed up your workflow. So yeah, I'm just trying to block the mesh. Going to clean some geometry here to make it look a bit more smooth. So yeah, I'm just trying to block the mesh. Going to clean some geometry here to make it look a bit more smooth. To make it look a bit more smooth. Yeah, this shield is actually good sculpting ZBrush because it's very organic. So I think it's gonna look, yeah, it's gonna look good in the end. Cool.
So I kind of asked Neil this earlier, but in like, you know, without obviously being on stream and a camera on you and so on, when it comes to like an average model, how long are you talking here?
It really depends on the complexity. Like I think for the orichalcum weapons, those were quite fast. The models were, the concepts were simple and easy to read. I think those took me like 2 weeks or something to do.
Okay.
But that
as a set, that is.
As a set, yeah. All weapons and the shields, yeah. Not sure about I was gonna work out for the rest of the stuff, but like for characters, I think Marathon, an example, it took me probably between 3 to 4 weeks or something like that. Because we always have to QA stuff as well, and even though sometimes we can be quite fast with the model, there's a lot of stuff we need to get ready before we put the model in game, and that ends up like taking us like a day or two.
Someone said you're using ZBrush. Just to clarify, the software you're using is
ZBrush,
right?
this is ZBrush, yeah.
And it may look easy, but I'll tell you what, this is incredible to just watch. It's awesome.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm sculpting live. So
How you doing? How you feeling about it?
Nervous.
Don't need to be. You're smashing it. Absolutely smashing it. This is awesome.
I would not want someone watching me while I was writing a design document. I'd just be typing a sentence and then typo and delete it. And
yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling.
Do that as a stream next time, please.
yeah, let's do it.
Oh, Jack's live design documents. But yeah, let us know in the chat, guys, what you think of this so far. You know, let Clumsy and Neil know how they're doing, and I'm imagining a lot of awesome comments going to come your way. So keep an eye out for that one.
Yeah.
I think people love and appreciate this stuff, and I'll tell you what, I just love watching like just our creation processes. I think it's amazing. Yeah, there you go. All the lovely comments. Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
There you go. I have no idea what he's doing, but it looks rad. Which is completely fair, I guess. If you're just watching someone and you're not
Pretty good summary, isn't it?
And you're not aware of the model process, you're like, well, why is the camera moving so much? Why is everything going here and there?
Yeah, I know. Sorry, guys.
You don't,
I think for me, it's like I'm really used and I move the camera really fast.
You work how you work. Like,
but every time I'm showing it to someone, they go like, I'm getting sick, please.
Yeah, we got that feedback from making videos. It's like, do you have to zoom in and out of times?
I feel like it really shows like the kind of like, in my opinion, streams like this, I feel like need to mimic or replicate, you know, the normal working day. And I think this is like the best way of doing it, and that is just you doing you in your natural form. So I think it's just awesome just seeing it like that.
The way I'm doing this in ZBrush, like, so game art, usually you just need a low poly in the end of the day. I could either just model these directly in Maya and come up with a low poly, or I can start in ZBrush and then generate a low poly out of these and use this high poly as a reference for the low poly, which is what I'm doing now because it's a very organic shape. I can really like use these details in my low poly texturing. Like I can literally grab this view and bake this into my low poly texture, which is amazing. So basically, I just get all these detail that you're seeing here in my texture to start painting.
Awesome. Yeah, so just to clarify, he's working off the image to the left. So obviously, for the people watching the stream, just below the camera in the top, top left,
I'll put it probably.
That's fine. Where it was fine. Or even that works. But yeah, that is essentially what Clumsy is trying to replicate in a model.
Yeah, it's quite hard sometimes. It takes some time to nail down the proportions. It's the most difficult part.
Yeah, I can imagine, like, you know, but this is where I assume when you get near finishing, you can refine stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes we start completely off scale and without nailing any of the proportions, but then we just like. The cool thing is that you can just come here anytime, grab the move brush and go like, oh, maybe this guy should be more like this, or like this.
Oh my goodness. Oh, clip that, someone please. That's brilliant. Oh my goodness. Someone said if you were to stream this on your own channel, they'd watch, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, that's cool. Thanks.
Oh man, I feel like the skull will look much better than the model. I mean, the skull is definitely like your
that's like the
sense.
Focal point, yeah.
So yeah, I can kind of see that. Yeah, just so cool.
Yeah, I still need like some. It needs to look more stylized than these, so that's what I'm gonna try next.
So someone said, how long have you been using ZBrush for?
Oh, long time.
Oh, there we go.
I think probably 4 years, something like that. But you can get good at ZBrush in a year or so. You don't. I mean, the thing about 3D or 3D career is that it's not just about ZBrush. It's about like every tool. You need to learn how to use a bunch of softwares.
Yeah.
Like ZBrush, 3D Code, Maya, Max. I don't know, like
Everything.
Photoshop. It's a lot. It's a lot of tools. ZBrush was the first 3D tool I actually learned how to use because it's the funniest one to use because you're actually sculpting live on the software, while the other programs you just use your mouse to model. That's quite boring.
And again, just to clarify, the concept is essentially kind of like the inspiration, but then the real refinement of it comes from the model you're making, right?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. But we can go crazy with it without asking the concept artists if they're okay with a couple changes or stuff like that.
Man, so cool. I'm telling you, I always will reiterate art streams are the way for me. I absolutely love stuff like this. Like I always love the inspiration of like Mod Ghost with old school streams. I've absolutely loved watching that stuff. And we did it once in 2016, and that was with former mod Stuo when he designed did the animations for Twin Furies.
Oh, I see.
And we didn't really have anything in 2017. We had an art stream, but we didn't have like live showcases. And now we're in 2018. We've had 3 already, and I'm like, this is just so cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so awesome. The guys on the couch look so awestruck.
Yeah.
Which is...
I'm awestruck by the chat. I love these passionate players.
Oh, that's awesome. So, I mean, from this perspective, I mean, what have you got left to design to model in this sense then? Very open-ended question. I understand that.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. So I'm just trying to get the skull to look good.
Yep.
Like yeah, I just want it to look good, as I imagine.
Shall we go back to Mod Neil and we'll see how you are in a little bit? All right, awesome. Let us come over to Mod Neil, who I believe is now on stream. Hello, sir.
Hello, I'm back on stream.
Yes.
I think my hands are on stream. I'm not sure.
Oh, the hand camera's on. Yeah,
hand
it
camera's
is.
on.
The hand camera
just
is
hands.
I'm just going to move this here for you. There you go.
I'm
the hand camera is there.
Yeah, so you can see the screen. I've got kind of like these forges.
Oh, wow.
So I've got these unlit. They don't have the fire in them. Whether they have a door or not, I haven't really decided. But you know, you'd have to do a drawing with them with the door off, with the fire. If it had like special fire going inside it. I don't know if Tim wants to talk about that.
Anything you wanted to in regards to the what? Sorry, the fire.
The type of flames.
The type of flames.
Oh yeah, we've got a mechanic we're hoping to implement for the Artisans Workshop where. Yeah. You can bring along a device called an Illuminite Injector and buff the whole Artisans Workshop for everyone on that world for like 10 minutes or 5 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So then the idea would be that the flames would change colour in order to demonstrate that's happening. You know, those pipes that go under the ground would keep those and have them.
So kind of like what's being highlighted now then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I should have used a better colour, but yeah, kind of from there to there. And then the flame will be maybe blue, maybe, you know, a kind of powered up kind of version of that. So these could have like some cool effect in them to show that they powered up. So if I was to paint, let's give it another layer, and you're going to paint, say, a flame. So it's going to have some kind of flames.
Yeah.
And you can kind of cheat because you can use the what's it called? So these are full of fire, and then you know if I did that in a slightly better job of that, and then I can just see what it would look like with any kind of colour, because I can just kind of slide through and just say like, ooh, blue looks really nice, or purple, or whatever. I mean, blue probably would look the best because it's kind of got that super hot quality of light about it. So you're gonna, and then you'd say, all right, blue's cool. I'm gonna go for blue. Let's give it like an insane kind of blue flame down the bottom. Push it to white, and then you'd get a kind of glowing, and then you'd paint in like all the, you know, the blue as it was uplight the kind of overhang parts of the forge and brighten it all up. And you'd have a cool looking, like all the light would spill out and hit the steps and stuff. And do a better job than that.
So good.
That,
no,
regardless. You know, if you kind of kept working at that, you could kind of get the feel of a lit version of the forges. And
Firelighters, Modjack? Yeah, there you go. Make the firelighters happen. We've got them in game already, so yeah, we can totally make that happen. That'd be awesome. Just to stuff like that.
No, what, to have them change the colour of the forges? No, that'd be really confusing because then you wouldn't know whether the buff was on.
Well, only for the player only.
Oh.
So then, you know.
Sure, if Stu wants to do it. It's not. I wouldn't have to do the work, so I can agree to anything.
Just say yes.
I probably better say no in that case.
Yeah, that's completely fair. Man, this is so obviously before we left you, we hadn't looked. There was a lot less obviously color in regards to content and everything else, but now it's really picked up since then.
I'm trying to like light it so you can, for myself really, just like see like which one I like, you know, for like the kind of like more octagonal kind of doorway or this kind of Boba Fett. Yeah, I like this one because it's like a nail shape, and you got an area where you could walk up to and smith on, and then kind of walk back down the steps, and then you can kind of get to an anvil. I quite like that, and then I like this kind of like detail panel, but then it's got a kind of panel that you could. Like put extra coal in, or like let the heat out, or do some kind of like some kind of bellows or some kind of unexplained. Because you end up watching strange YouTube videos on people forging samurai swords and like the strange bits they use and the cool bellows that go underground, and then they kind of pump that, and then that gets the flame really hot. So imagine if you went to a different civilization and they had like a forge, it wouldn't just be. It wouldn't just be a copy of a forge you would know as human. It'd have elements that you could recognise, but bits would be different. And it's just kind of like trying to put in a few little like detail notes so people go like, oh yeah, that might be for that, or that might be where you can take a panel off with like a long iron rod and just like let the flame cool down, or let bits heat up. So yeah, I'm just kind of like just zooming out and zooming in and just kind of going.
Someone mentioned that they love how passionate you are about this, and it makes it amazing to watch, which I think is awesome. People seeing the passion coming out.
Yeah, I think you got a passion for it, because you got to really go like, oh, what is it? What is a dwarf doing? Why would they make this? I mean, maybe you got the inlaid metalwork. They're kind of showing off that they've mastered stonemasonry and metalwork in a way. That the other races probably wouldn't so much. The elves are kind of singing crystal to life, but the dwarves have definitely mastered the metalwork, and because you wouldn't really inlay stone with metal and then go to that much trouble and do it more than a few times. So it's got that vibe to it. If like you could put decoration inside decoration and kind of get away with it, because it's like, yeah, that's fine. I believe that they would do that. You see it in what's that film? The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got kind of very bold shapes, and I wonder. I think RuneScape was first. So.
I'll show this one. Like art is a whole new, like the variants of creation of art and stuff. It's all new for me.
It's not a mystery that this the same in like other things, because it boils down to, say, if you bring up a dwarf and it's the proportion. So it's like kind of like most things, they'd fit in a kind of more square shape, whereas like a human would fit in something that's like 4 times as tall as it is high. So like a lot of the proportions and shape divides suit this little square. So you think like, 45-degree angle suits them really well, and these like shallow angles.
I think just casually drawn a 45-degree. What? I could never do that. What the hell?
But
mental.
Like, yeah, you can see it like repeating in all these buildings and things and metalwork, and these ones are quite kind of abstract, but they've got a cool quality to them because they're all using the same shapes over and over again. This big chimney stack here, and metalwork. It's elaborate, but it's also quite heavy and grounded. So yeah, for dwarves, this is for a human, but it's like built by dwarves, so it should look like it's been built by dwarves.
End the stream, we're in school. Well, first of all, you should probably be focusing on your school, but having this in the background. So just listen and learn.
Yeah, the teachers can play it. Oh, yeah, show everybody how to draw.
Week, isn't it, in UK?
The number 0% of my coursework because of the stream. Well, I'd love to say we're bad influences, but you're very welcome in that regard.
I got a shout out to Scarlett, who should be revising for GCSEs tonight. She's out there. I don't know if she's watching.
Show her the clip now.
Kids,
show the specific section on the stream where you've literally just given a call out. That's awesome.
Yeah. Revise chemistry. Yeah, it's all GCSE this week, isn't it? And then it's coming up to...
yeah, it's all finals and everything else.
Yeah.
Someone said, this is referring to me, he doesn't know the holding shape while drawing a line makes going straight lines. No, I didn't. This is why I'm a noob at this stuff, as you can imagine. So I get excited over the little things.
You can draw using the shift key, which is handy for long straight lines.
Told you, like this is why I'm a noob.
Yeah,
I just react to everything because it's just all new to me, and I think it's awesome. But yes.
Yes, I think it's great for like using the eraser tool. But yeah, if you can draw as much stuff freehand as you can, why not? Because it's all good practice. And then I'm just putting little fancy details in things now, because I'm happy with it. Once you're happy with the design, I'd be pretty, because I like to do a bit of 3D modelling as well. I'd be happy to take these shapes and basically turn them into 3D models, and then just have a little spin around, and then have a talk with Luke and stuff, and just say like, do you fancy this, or do you think this will work in the area, and then it will kind of get a thumbs up or a...
You're now known as Mod Hands. Here we see Mod Hands, Designer Forge and Stream. So someone.
Super Hands. If anyone watches that program, I won't name.
Oh man.
I'm not that guy.
I would watch these art streams even if they were more informal, just whatever the concept art is working on with nice background music, don't always need the formal hosting, Q&A, dialogue, etc. See, the problem is with streams like this, is like from a production perspective, to try and set up the art person's PC and everything else, it does take time. It's not just as simple as we can put them on a PC and they have everything, because they have their custom brushes, their custom layouts and everything else, so it's a little bit complicated in that regard.
Yeah, you couldn't have a PC for... I mean, literally, just for my example... like this computer and thing, everything is different to someone else's Photoshop. I've put all my shortcut keys in myself.
Yes, obviously this is customized for you.
Yeah, it's for me. I mean, I'm pressing buttons that, if someone else was pressing, it wouldn't work. Like even zooming in now is different on mine, and brush scale and stuff is different.
Someone said nice shadow and details, looking more 3D now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to put in pushback shapes, and at this stage, because I've been doing more 3D stuff, I would be happy to take that into 3D and just kind of make a model to get the proportions, and then you could even drop a model in the game. That for me, this stage is like I'd be happy with that level of rendering. But you can always do more. You can always kind of go like, you can always chamfer edges and put in light and say, okay, I want this to be lit by like a cyan light or a green light, or I want it to be, I want this side of the model to be hit by a red light, and that one, and it would look even prettier. But it's kind of like you've got to realise that this is not going to be the end thing. The end thing is handed over, and it's kind of, for concept art, it needs to be kind of like cool, but you don't have to render. It's not an illustration. You've got to be able to kind of like lasso things and just press delete, and just kind of not be bothered about it, because you will be throwing lots of stuff away, and lots of stuff won't get made, because it's much easier to draw something than it is to go through the whole pipeline, get modelled and then labelled and animated, and by the time it goes through to QA, it's a lot of work. So it's good that we can draw stuff and just get rid of it.
John, this is a question for you. Do we get 2 Twitch crates due to the stream being double length? Sorry?
It's your decision.
It's my decision. Oh boy. Well, everyone's going to say yes, do it.
Do it. It's 2 hours. You've got modelling and concept.
Yeah, I'm going to say one crate for modelling, 1 crate for concept. All right, we're doing it. There you go. We're making 2 crates. There you go, everyone.
If we get fired tomorrow,
no, please.
It'll have been worth it to give the people what they want.
There we go.
Give the people what they want.
We should be fine. Yeah, we'll make sure that you guys get 2 crates at the end of this. There you go. Based on the chat, we're ruining a lot of people's days. Yeah, it's great. They're all so distracted. They're just killing themselves and not having showers. Genuinely, I've never seen a stream where we've ruined so much productivity. It's actually great.
I'd say just more like this then, please.
Yeah, more stuff like this.
Okay.
Oh man! So someone said we're going to be getting the keys from the quest anytime soon. If you log out, log back in, you will have your keys. So if you didn't get it initially, we hotfixed this. So if you log out, log back in, and you have done the quest, you will now get the keys. So make sure to do that.
What am I doing now?
Meant to be revising biology, bad influences.
Sorry. Who said that?
I did see it. Someone said it, so that could be related.
All right.
Shall I do some questions?
Yeah, let's pop some questions, Jack. Go for it.
Someone asked, are we going to be able to see this armour in game in the beta? I wouldn't have committed to that, but based on the rate that Mod Clumsy is going through it, the answer is probably. Like, we'll certainly put whatever is modelled at the point when the beta comes out, we'll put the armour in game. Yeah. I would expect by that point it's probably most of it, but I wouldn't promise that it would be all of it.
Cool.
Are mining and smithing going to 120? No.
Was that ever discussed?
We talked about it on previous streams. It doesn't make sense to take them to 120 at this point because combat doesn't go to 120. So logically 110 smithing would make 110 combat gear. And there can't be 110 combat gear because there isn't 110 attack and defense. So it sort of doesn't really make sense at this point. It would have to do something different. Someone said they're looking for an excuse to remove harmed rune, which is interesting because by default, if we don't do anything, harmed rune will just be useless because as of the rework, runite doesn't run out when you mine it. So the benefit of harmed rune is fairly small. Also, runite is being nerfed to level 50. So if we just left Trial as it is, it would be a bit rubbish. So actually, we're going to have to go in and add something new.
Nice.
So it's not that we're trying to find an excuse not to remove it, but that by default, it's going to get ruined. So we're going to have to try and put something new in to benefit it. We're not 100% sure what at the moment. Some people ask what's happening to the crystal pick. The new pickaxes, so there will be new tiers of pickaxe. So for example, an Elder Rune pickaxe will be quite good. I think by default it is better than the crystal pickaxe. But what we're going to do is add in an upgraded crystal pickaxe that requires the crystal pickaxe to make. And that way, new players will still have to get their crystal pickaxe, and existing players who've already got the crystal pickaxe will be one step along on acquiring the best pickaxe in the game, which is what the upgraded crystal will be. So that's our plan for how to retain the value of the crystal, even though there'll be a smithable alternative that's better.
What about rune alching? Prices for alks for rune?
We're still doing the balancing on that. They're probably going to have to come down. My expectation is something like rune items will have their alk values reduced. But in the smithing rework, you can upgrade items to higher tiers by combining them with more material. So you get, say, a rune plate body and combine it with another 5 rune bars, and that makes a rune plate body +1. Probably the rune plate body +1, because it contains twice as much material, will have an alk value closer to the value of an existing rune plate body. So my hope is, if all the numbers work out correctly when we've got the final balancing, that what we can do on launch is take people's existing rune plate bodies and just swap them out for rune plate bodies +1. And now they've retained the same alk value.
Wow, okay.
That's what I'm hoping we'll be able to do. That's roughly the plan. And we're going to do similar things to just make sure people don't lose. Because what we absolutely do not want is when the rework launches, players log in and either they've got a massive windfall of huge new value in their bank. We don't want that happening, because then that makes all the players who didn't hoard the right kind of item feel bad. And we don't want people logging in and the contents of their bank is now worthless. We don't want either of those two to happen. So we're going to try to substitute items for other items or affect the value of items in order to prevent that from happening.
We kind of talked about this back at the first content showcase we did in November. Spring Cleaner. What are you guys doing for Spring Cleaner?
So we've put the design out for that now. Spring Cleaner will... So we're going to replace on drop tables. We're going to take smithable items off drop tables, so no more rune longswords.
Okay.
We're going to replace them with a salvage item that has the same alk value and has the same components, roughly. There's a full design if you want to go look at it. But it has roughly the same alk and the same component drop table. And that will be used to replace the existing smithable drops. And then the Spring Cleaner will auto-alk those items for you or auto-disassemble those items for you.
Okay.
So in practice, despite all that, it will be a bit of a nerf to the Spring Cleaner. At the moment, the Spring Cleaner is the primary source of rune ore in the game, and hugely valuable because of that. That will no longer be true, so it will lose a bit of its use and a bit of its value, but we've tried to add new options to it so that it is still worth having. It's just not as worth having as it was.
Awesome. Anything else you want to chime in? Or?
What do we got? Some people are asking to see the female armour. Is that one Bernie can talk
female
about?
Armour?
What?
The female, is it like a female?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Will be male and female.
Do we have any to show, or is that not?
No,
Okay, that's
we
fine.
don't have anything.
Presumably, it won't look massively different. It'll just be shaped to fit the female.
Yeah,
character model.
exactly. Yeah.
But we wouldn't like add a massive boob plate to it or something.
No.
Right. All right, let's come back to you, Neil. We'll come on to Clumsy in a few minutes. So what have we just done in the meantime?
Yeah, so I suppose the last bits of concept and tidying up it seems to take the longest kind of thing, you know, because you're putting in like where like little shadows would go or little kind of texture notes for people, so you kind of saying, oh, you know, this is where like the dust and soot would settle, and you're painting in kind of cracks and little things to kind of sell the idea of what's the wear and tear, you know, just like because these things, these forges, although you know they might have been built, they would be used and things like that get dirty and dusty, so you can't, you've got to imagine them all kind of a little bit gunky. They'd be in constant use, you know, so really you'd have like soot about and putting in shadows and stuff. But yeah, for concepting wise, I'd be pretty happy to kind of take these up and say like, oh, should we try out which one, or you know, make a little 3D model so you can actually see whether you want it. If you want that kind of thing, or you wanted something that was kind of... The thing is, I think when you make something and you put it in the game, it's kind of... Sometimes the answer comes from doing that, and it's like, oh, it's really obvious, like, oh, why didn't you put in like a little kind of holder thing there, or why didn't you put, you know, this and that in? But a lot of the answers come up when you're doing it, so it's a tricky question to answer, really, because a lot of the answers will come from the process itself. It kind of gives itself, the answers come out of when you're doing it. So yeah, I can you can just kind of go in and render forever with rendering, but I tend not to. I probably wouldn't go much further than I have now, but you know, just to kind of show that you can just kind of keep going and maybe do another little design on the side of how you'd want the forge to kind of, anyway, another alternative design for the forge. But yeah, it's going all right. I'm just kind of pulling in.
Yeah, people have noticed that it looks much better, obviously, just from obviously a time perspective already,
yeah,
how much it's come along.
If you zoom out, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I can see that would fit, and it looks dwarven, and it would kind of.
I wouldn't think it's concept, honestly. It looks incredible.
But then when you zoom in, it's like a mucky mess of lines and stuff. But that's the point, really. It's not a tight thing. It's not a 3D render. It's just to kind of give people the gist of like a stone fluted kind of furnace building that is being used for this and that. I think I could give it a little effects pass as well, because I think that's probably quite a nice thing to do, isn't it? Just to kind of show what you'd do. So if I'd literally just create another layer, call it FX, then I would start painting in. You can just do like a quick lasso select to kind of grab the areas you want to put in, and then just start painting in some bright lights, just maximum. And then this all, yeah, you kind of get like a kind of salmon coloured glow. It's quite good to have some reference open when you're doing this as well, because a lot of the time you're gonna be painting.
I find it amazing that what you're doing is essentially doing paint blobs, and out of it comes what looks like a model, basically. I think it's just insane, to be honest with you. I think it's incredible, just knowing that essentially all these paint blobs you're doing, when obviously refined and everything, when you zoom out, it then looks like a full on.
Yeah, that's the trick, really. It's kind of like figuring out in your head, you know, what do these effects, what will it look like, kind of thing. What will a fire? What does a fire look like? And then, you know, because you end up painting, you know, like flaming swords and flaming, you know, lots of fiery things. So you can kind of like paint them, and then you can add like a little effect. So you can grab the same layer, duplicate it, drag it down, and then you can just kind of create like little blurs and things. So you can say blur, Gaussian blur, and it gives it a glow, so instant glow. And if you're Ostran, you can put color dodge on.
Wow.
And make it like super flamey, but I don't like to do that.
That's so good.
Yeah, you can put little glows on and drop it underneath, and then you've got like a nice kind of glowy flame really quickly as well. You're just painting in some flame colours and then blur up the bits for the haze, and and then you can kind of grab some of these kind of pinks and oranges and just kind of bounce them off the interior edge of the forge, which gives it more volume as well. Kind of this added effect of.
Someone said they regret being a chef now. That's an interesting way to look at it.
Chef is an artist as well.
Yeah, chef is an
artist of
artist.
food.
Yeah, I tell you what, I was watching Keith Floyd on France. That is amazing. He's going around France. Just anyone out there watching that, go.
A minute ago, you were worried about plugging things.
Yeah, I know you just full on like advertising.
Yeah, just advertising the BBC there. No big deal. Yeah, he's a hero of mine. Yeah.
Shall we? I'm gonna go over to Clumsy.
Anyway,
That's all right.
yeah, that's
fine.
fine.
In kind of a nutshell, like it
Yeah, in a
looks.
nutshell, fire. You can add fire to things, and then you can turn it off and on again. So that's off, and then glow and on. There you go. Yeah.
So good. All right, let's come over to Clumsy. Let's see what he's gotten up to in the time that we have been away. So about half hour.
Yeah,
What have you been doing?
been mostly doing the teeth.
Doing the teeth.
Yep, and blocking some more proportions, trying to get the shape of the skull better. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It takes me too much time just trying to figure out like proportions and such. So what I was about to do was sorry, just duplicating these and bringing them down here and rotating them to make them fit the lower jaw. Yeah, and that's
Very cool.
pretty much about that. Doesn't look very good, but
Wham! Look
Yeah.
at that.
so basically I'm always sculpting with geometry pretty much until the end, and when I'm getting closer to finish the high poly, I start doing some asymmetry changes, like usually in the middle area, because that's where you usually notice the symmetry the most. So you want asymmetry in the middle and symmetry on the sides. Yeah, that's pretty much that.
Guy needs a good dental plan, said someone there.
Yeah.
Oh, I can always appreciate the quirky comments when they come in. Oh man. Yeah, this is so the idea of this, just for people who want to understand this, like essentially this is kind of somewhat accurate to the normal working day here, Jagex, for these guys,
Yeah.
or try to be anyway, because I feel like the best way to kind of show how these guys work is kind of having to be as realistic as possible based on their speed. So if you get a little bit motion sick, apologies, but this is the speed of a mod Clumsy who is able to work magic with this stuff, so just be aware of that.
Sorry, guys.
But yeah, it's looking great, and obviously I presume you have your inspiration up in the top right, right? Up here.
Yeah. I have like all the concepts here. I have a second screen with some references from other characters I like, some other skulls. For me, it's very important to look at references when I'm working, because sometimes you just get too stuck on an idea and you end up like forgetting about what other people do. Yeah, so I always like to have other people's work on the second screen to look at while I'm working.
So we have what, about 15 minutes left. What are you going to look to try and do in the next 15 minutes?
So I'm gonna try and add the spikes around the
spikes,
shield,
alright.
the spikes on the skull. Try and finish these teeth, and yeah, and that's pretty much it. I still need to adjust the overall proportions a little bit, but yeah.
To answer someone's question, when I'm not sure if we could do a weekly art stream. It is a little bit of a time resource, unfortunately, and also we need to kind of ask the art leads if we can do it. I don't think they'd appreciate us just taking some of the art guys downstairs to stream the stuff, although it would be awesome. We kind of need to double check with teams, make sure it's all good. So we try and do these where possible.
Yeah.
How is the program compared to the last 3D program you people at Jagex used? I think you joined when we were already on.
Yeah, we were already working.
What about you, Neil?
Yeah, we used Jagged. That was like the original tool. That was 14 years ago.
I'm one of the lucky guys.
Yeah.
So, sorry, just to clarify, how long have you been at Jagex?
Yeah, since 2004.
Since 2004. So you've been through all of the art styles, give or take.
Yeah, pretty much.
How's it been transitioning?
Yeah, it's been really good. I mean, to this level now, where you can use normal maps from ZBrush, that is, that's really cool that we come. It's to see it come from like literally, the original one was clicking on a left top and front screen to like get make it one triangle, and then from that to like with no undo and stuff to proper industry standard tools is fantastic. It's really nice to have seen it, you know, and been involved in it from that, you know, from all those years.
Awesome. Just to clarify, if you get a message from someone on stream called RuneScape Giveaways, give them the Swift block. They're a load of nonsense. We don't have an account called RuneScape Giveaways. It's phishing. Ignore it. And yeah, the only giveaways you'll get technically are our LootScape giveaways, which you do at the end of this stream, only on twitch.tv/RuneScape. So be aware of that. Someone said it's fantastic and watching you do it. I agree. It's very awesome to watch it. What about a time-lapse split-screen video every now and then? Half an overhead view and half an hour?
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. I think I did that for Solak initially. I think I recorded most of the progress. But because the design changed so much, we ended up never releasing it, I think. But it's a good idea, time-lapsing.
So, spikes, I assume, are coming. This shield looks awesome. Yep,
oh yeah, I'm going
agree.
for the spikes already. So
there we go.
Okay, let me see. My brush is all okay. Yeah, it's been. I usually work in a Cintiq as Neil does, but I didn't want to carry mine downstairs. They're quite heavy.
It's completely fair.
Really heavy.
That's completely
Mine
fair.
is even smaller than his, but
It broke my
I don't
back
even know how
trying
much
to
that thing
do
weighs.
So essentially, you're making the spikes using the sphere.
Yeah,
Wow,
because
okay.
there's
I'm gonna ask really obvious questions, by the way, because this is all
no,
like,
that's totally fine.
blows
Like,
my mind.
the cool thing about ZBrush is that you have like a million ways to do different things. You can do the same thing in like 10 different ways, and you just pick up whatever. You just choose whatever you want and whatever you think it fits better in your pipeline. I think for me, I always work with primitives. This is not even the best primitive because it has this really weird thing going on here in the geometry, but I don't really care because I can always change that later.
Is that banana again?
Yeah, it's the
banana. Yeah, the banana's
banana
got
come
a,
back?
banana. No, it's just the
Oh,
banana.
right.
On there. Banana's got a bit of a running theme, it seems.
I saw some players were joking that one of these models has more polys than the whole of Old School,
Oh yeah.
which I think is meant as a facetious
Oh yeah.
joke. But
These
I
are
think
these
it's
are like.
It was actually brought up as a joke last week by a certain mod. Oh my goodness, I've had a complete brain fart. It was brought up by someone as a joke last. Oh, mod Alex. Mod Alex actually said the same thing, literally as a joke. So,
but it's almost it's very nearly true. Someone was said there's a model in development at the moment that I think is secret, but it actually does have that one model has more polys than the whole of Old School.
wow.
We were quite strict on RuneScape from 2004. It was 500 for a character.
So 500 polys just for a character.
Yeah, and mostly under. Like the
Wow.
the abyssal creature I did, I think was 500 on the nose. And that was like, I was really proud to get like 6 limbs on a 500 triangle. It was like 6 limbs.
What are we looking at nowadays for RuneScape then?
So it really depends on the characters again, because so if the character is going to be on his area alone, and there's not going to be like different instances of him, you can go a bit crazy. Like Solak, we went with around 11k triangles, which is insane for RuneScape.
11,000 triangles. Okay.
Yeah, something like that, which is around like 5.5k polys. It's not a lot, but like for this kind of player kit stuff, we can't go higher than 1k. Usually. Yeah, some NPCs are around 5k, 4k. But for boss NPCs, we always go a bit.
We give them the special.
Yeah, we give them the special.
treatments,
Especially, it also depends on the size. So if the NPC is going to be too big, we definitely need more polygons, more texture size, more textures itself. Like, so yeah, Solak is definitely a good example. Is the most high poly character, I think. I did. Yeah, Marathel is as low. I think she doesn't have that many polygons. Barrel Chest is quite the same as well. Probably is closer to Solak or something. Yeah. Yeah, it really depends on the size of the character, but we do have a bit more freedom now, which is good.
So obviously it's spikes going on. So we were what one? I see. I can't count properly.
Just
was it
one
12
spike,
spikes
yeah,
in
but
total.
like, yeah.
I think it's 12.
So we just need to make one side. And then we'll mirror to the other.
Oh,
which is pretty cool.
nice bit of time saving.
Yeah, definitely.
So just to clarify, this is for the Necromium Shield, which is tier 70. Tier 70, yep. And the concept itself, this is the upgraded version, which is called the Particles, I believe, yeah.
The reason there's 2 versions of everything in the rework you can upgrade armor, but you can upgrade it multiple times. So Elder Rune can be upgraded 5 times, for example.
Yep.
But the thing is, all the intermediate upgrade steps are kind of only there for training purposes. So it didn't really make sense to have a whole different model for each upgrade step. So what we agreed as a compromise was we'd have sort of the most upgraded version would look different, and then all the others would look like the first version. So that's why there's 2 for all types. We probably won't be redoing Rune and below.
Awesome.
So there'll only be 1 look for Rune, but then from Orichalcum onwards there'll be an upgraded version of each item.
So update is mainly to focus on the new stuff then, really? Yeah, that's fair.
We're rebalancing the low tier stuff, but
not model-wise.
we're not remodeling it. No.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So again, just clarify someone said what program we're using. This is ZBrush.
Yeah, ZBrush, yeah. And I'm using a Wacom Intuos to sculpt. It's pretty good. I only started using a Cintiq when I started at Jagex. Honestly, I think I only got my Cintiq here probably around Christmas or so. I've been using Intuos all my life, and it's pretty good. Cintiqs are really good as well, obviously, but they're quite expensive. But I think Intuos does the job very well.
Someone said, can we see a side-by-side comparison of the skull and block besides what he's created so we can see the progress? I don't know if you're able to do that.
Of what? The initial stage or the concept art?
We'll wait for Forbesy to answer us. So the initial stage or the concept art. So then we can try and see what we can do for you. So Rune and Advent will look exactly like they do now after the rework. Just to clarify. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, they are still upgradable mechanically. You'll be able to upgrade them.
So +1, etc. Okay, cool.
Exactly. Yeah. But they won't look different.
So I actually have a time lapse of all. That's the cool thing about ZBrush is that.
So you have a time lapse.
Just let me save it. I don't know. I saved the 77 file. That's cool. Yeah, you have a time lapse here of like. Just let me.
Yeah, no problem.
You have like a time lapse of the sculpt.
There you go. Look at this is what the skull started with.
Yeah, this is what it started.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. And then you can just see, it's so cool. And then
same thing for the shield.
The shield itself. Look at that. How it's become from a blob essentially to just that. That is amazing. Wow.
Cool, and the teeth as well, maybe.
Oh, time lapse of the teeth. Oh. There you go. The wine pan. Awesome.
Yeah. ZBrush is definitely.
That is so cool.
It's really cool.
Okay. The fact we were just able to show before and after.
Even for people that are like hobbyists and I mean, it's amazing. It's definitely pretty tasty tool.
That's so cool. Right, I'm going to come up to Mod Neil, and then we'll come over to you for one last time to see how you're on the spikes. We'll come back up to Mod Neil, and we'll come over to Clumsy for one final time, and then we'll be able to wrap up. All right.
Yeah.
Ooh, Jesus, as I try not to break everything behind me.
I'm literally, I'm just putting on effects and things, because it's quite a nice thing to do.
So, what have you done here?
I've just been putting on these kind of like blue flame, again, just like FX layers, so they're just kind of, fire on, fire off. And then, you can come in, and I'm just going to just have a bit of fun with some particle brushes and things, because there's some cool stuff in Photoshop too, so if I find a cool brush, you have to make these. But this is like, say if like you had embers by a fire, so you can kind of put in little embers that float about.
Yeah.
Or if you wanted smoke to come off the chimneys, if you wanted some kind of like magical blue smoke or things like that. So I could make these little layers, maybe intensify them a bit. I'm not sure if that looks like bubbles or water actually. I don't quite like that, but you can muck about with things. I think usually I'll probably just paint them in just to see what kind of like you get the odd kind of like flicker of. It's my default brush. My brush I use for everything, because I think embers kind of have a little bit of a direction to them, don't they? They can't really be a circle, so they kind of. And blue embers aren't really a thing that people are used to seeing, so you kind of more like you'd see, like a thing ping down the step and then just kind of like scatter across the floor, which would be quite cool. And you just kind of catch the little bit of light that it did. I think it's when you paint something, you're like, oh, that doesn't work, or you've got to go through the process of thinking why doesn't it work, and then kind of trying to figure out, oh, actually it doesn't work because it doesn't create the shape that I wanted, or it doesn't do the thing that I wanted. And now I can use cheeky smoke brushes.
Cheeky smoke brushes. Okay,
Yeah.
let's keep that. Let's remember that one, shall we? Cheeky smoke.
Well, clouds. I don't know who made these. Definitely clouds 2. I stole off someone. I think it's clouds 1. Not sure if I stole that off anyone. It might be mine. It might be. And then so with this brush, it's very soft. So you all you're doing is you're basically just kind of pushing like little.
So to simulate the smoke coming out.
Yeah,
of it.
you just it's like a kind of particle thing. And if I go into the brush settings, all it's doing is it's got this little scatter function on, and then that will take the brush tip, which is a cloud shape, and just reproduce it in different angles. Quite a simple thing, but it's really nice because you can use color with it. So you can say like once you lock the layer transparency, you can say that I want it to be this kind of like blue coming up through it.
Oh.
And then it goes, yeah, so it's nice, isn't it?
Nice.
It's satisfying.
That's so satisfying to watch.
And then so you've got like smoke basically.
I love how you've made it obviously very bright at the bottom to indicate the start of it, but then obviously transitioned into just the smoke.
It becomes
That's so cool.
It becomes sooty, sweep and soot. It becomes soot, at the top, and then you can just lock transparency and grab a blue that you've used, and then just kind of like just put it in there, and it's just a nice little subtle thing. But these little effects kind of can help sell the idea of like, the one on the right looks more exciting than the one on the left now because it's got the smoke coming out the top and it's looking a bit more alive, like it's moving. Whereas that one's kind of grounder because it's bigger on the piece of paper. And I don't know, but I've kind of started to like the design of this orange one better.
Especially
it's a bit grander.
I think it's definitely more grander, but I've blows my mind how much an effect can do to that.
Yeah,
if you just turn it off again, just to show like the difference it makes with just the effects off. I mean, just there you are. But then obviously when we turn them back on, I just find that incredible.
It sells the idea of like it's a furnace, doesn't it? You definitely need the fire on to say that. It'd be hard to do a kind of off furnace that looks nice, but I suppose you could still do it. You could probably make more of the door, and like have cool designs for the doorways and things like that. But I'm pretty happy with these concepts.
Is absolutely
I'll leave
awesome.
it there.
You make it green, Neil, so we can see what it
someone
looks
wants
like
a green one.
I can make it green, because it's all on layers now, and I just combine
Let's
these
have a
layers.
look. Let us know what you think, chat, when you see this.
Yeah, they're on one layer. Let's just cycle through colours because it's just fun
let's
to
have a
do.
look.
Let's go. They're both going to change colour now. I'll move this out of the way. Let's try and move my hand, but I realise you can't see my hand, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
purple, and then
wow!
green. Why not? Let's just go through all
So
the
good.
colours. That's
Pink.
more of
There's
a
your
emerald
pink.
green and pink. There's a red.
That green and purple was
furnace.
so good.
And then we'll go back to like it's a turquoise and a kind of horrible pink, and then lovely magic pink and magic green.
Wow!
Look at that. Blue and yellow. Yeah,
God, I love that.
You
Holy
can muck
moly.
about, and you can do that for hours. I mean, the best thing about the hue thing, this is a nice little thing, 'cause not many people know about this, is in here, this little drop down is just the specific colour. So if I just wanted to change the yellow, I can just edit yellow. So if I wanted to change the middle of the fire, which is really like a lovely thing to be able to do. And I don't know, I didn't find out about this for years. I'm sure loads of people know about it, but I just kind of relatively recently discovered this thing that you can actually select the colour channel itself and change it, which is a
That
brilliant
is
way.
absolutely superb.
Good,
Wow.
good fun way of doing something. But yeah, that's the
Wow.
the furnaces, and
Thank you so much, Neil. That is incredible. Right, I'm going to come over to more clumsy, and that will finish up the art section. Then we'll come over to the couch to wrap up. So, how are we looking on those spikes, sir?
Oh yeah, I'm just about to.
Oh, good timing.
Place one of the last spikes here. Okay. Yeah, they obviously need more work.
Yeah.
But, okay, let's see how this goes now. Let me save it because ZBrush is. If you use ZBrush, you'll know that it crashes a lot every time you try to mirror stuff.
Oh, there you go.
cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Okay, basically my next step will be just try to make these spikes look more like spikes, not bananas or blobs or whatever.
That's not easy, is it? That is actually.
No, that's not easy. Yeah, that's the same
to
thing
do.
for whenever you sculpt fur. It always looks like bananas.
Mm.
It's, yeah.
Someone said more clumsy brush. Works. Very good. Oh man. So there you go. There's your spikes. Looking
Yeah, I also
great.
need to make these look like they're actually going inside the shield. So I'll probably add a bit more volume here around these shapes or something like that. And
yeah, you're putting in the little exaggerations there that give it its character. And
yeah,
you can do. The concept is just like a fairly zoomed out.
Yeah.
Like this is the idea, but you know when you get into it, it's actually you are seeing it in the round all the time. You're constantly spinning.
Yeah,
around, so you
yeah.
give it that feel of like a real object.
Exactly.
So just to clarify about in-game models, they're in, but we're not going to share them until ModJack is ready to share them. As well as the archives.
They're not currently working properly in game. So
Yeah, so
we'll
they're
tweet
kind
out
of
some
there.
screenshots as soon as we have them.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to clarify, 'cause someone thought we were going to show it on stream. Not unfortunately today. Would be awesome, but I won't be able to, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Tom got them working, but he's on holiday now.
Oh yeah.
Holiday.
Yep. Scourge of projects.
Someone's asked a bit of a question. Have you ever forgot to save a project and lost a lot of progress?
Oh man, yeah. Like
Yeah?
so many times.
Ugh.
Especially ZBrush. This new version of ZBrush actually is able to recover when it crashes.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Sometimes,
But
naturally.
yeah, sometimes you get so caught up in the project, you start sculpting, sculpt for 1 hour, sculpt for 2 hours, and then ZBrush just crashes.
Oh,
and you're
God.
like, you seriously, you just want to cry and punch your monitor.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah.
I can completely understand
This
that.
happened to me like
Quick save.
multiple times. It's really, really annoying, but yeah, it's part of the deal.
Yeah.
But they fixed it.
Okay,
I
good.
think, yeah.
You think?
I think so.
Oh man, thinking is
At least-
it can be very dangerous.
Did we want to mention the Discord again?
Yeah, let's. We'll pop the Discord in the Twitch chat. If you haven't been on it already, there's a special mining and smithing Discord section.
When you
Well,
when
yeah,
you
go
get on, you have to type !M_S, and that will give you permission to view the Discord, the mining and smithing channels.
and then you can deal with talking to ModJack and Mod Stu.
Yeah, we haven't been checking it because we've been on the stream, but when I get home, I'll have a read of what everyone's.
You're gonna be
saying.
up. I reckon
be
you
up
guys
all
will be
evening.
tagged a lot. I have a feeling.
Yep.
So I will wait and see.
So my phone's off, so I've no idea how many notifications I've got.
There
Just
you
got
go.
asked if you had an art station. Bernardo.
Oh,
Sorry.
an art station. Yeah. Do you have an art station?
Oh yeah, I do. We can probably. Yeah, just follow me on Twitter. Sometimes I do
Jagex
some.
Clumsy, I presume.
Yeah, Jagex Clumsy. Yeah, I usually post my Sketchfab links there, ArtStation, and yeah, and all the updates. Yeah, ArtStation.
Yeah, no, it's just people pronounce. People are trying to mimic the way I say it because this is a thing. You see, anything to do with A and then
Yeah.
like arc and so on. Everyone, you'll see in a moment. Everyone will impersonate the way I say it in the chat.
Yeah.
That's what they do. But yeah, I think in a nutshell, I mean, we'll leave it at that, I guess. Even though I don't want this to end, I really don't
Yeah.
want this to end.
This is still gonna take like a couple more hours to finish.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely post
There you go.
all the
Everyone-
Yeah,
progress.
it looks really nice. The high
Everyone
contrast
doing it.
there.
Cool.
Oh, someone's found your art station, so someone shared it there. So there you
Yeah.
go.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely share
Yeah.
all the progress on my Twitter account if you guys want to follow.
Awesome.
Oh, I got
I'll-
to say, FUC's is art station as well. That's my art
Yeah,
station.
yeah, we can also share Mod Neil's ArtStation.
Put it on your Twitter, sir.
Oh yeah. On my
Yeah.
Do
Twitter.
you have Twitter? The
I do
power
have
of
Twitter. I do have Twitter.
Oh man! All right. So I'm gonna say, unfortunately, from the from the concept and animation perspective, we are gonna concept and modeling.
Yeah.
There we
Yeah.
go. Got it right. We're gonna have to leave it there, unfortunately. But this has been 2 hours of kick-ass stuff. This has been so good. So thank you, guys in the
Yeah.
chat.
Thanks a lot.
Please give your thank yous to Mod Neil and Clumsy for this, and let them know what, how appreciative you are of this stream. And while I get ready to go over to the couch, they'll see all
Awesome.
the love.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys
Thank you
so
very
much. Amazing.
It's good fun.
Oh,
That's cool.
such an active mover today. Goodness. All right, I'm
Hi, Shawnee.
gonna Angus Shed again with incredible.
Do it properly.
No, I'm not doing it properly because the stream's gonna be ended in a moment.
Higher. Put it higher.
Higher. There, we're gonna go there. Right. So yeah, I love art streams, and I think what a way to show off what's going on in mining and smithing, because that was absolutely awesome. They're exhausted, bless them. They've been obviously so in the zone that they're just like, oh my god, I can breathe now. We're okay. Seriously, you guys were absolutely awesome. So thank you so much for that. In a nutshell, before we try and before we finish up, you mentioned Discord as a way of feedback. But I mean, is there any other ways for everyone who's watched the stream, how can I give you the feedback you guys need?
Yeah, Discord's best if you want to like actually chat about something. If you want to ask a question, have it answered immediately. Discord or Twitter are good for that.
Yep.
Twitter's not so good for a discussion because
more just a point, I guess,
yeah,
making a point. Yeah.
If you want to ask a specific question, you want a concrete answer to, just tweet it.
Yep.
Discord's good if you want to chat. Reddit's good when there's something recent, but obviously stuff gets lost on Reddit fairly quickly.
Yep.
And then the forums, if it's for a long form, like long discussion, that's going to carry on. We try to be active on everything.
Awesome. I kind of feel bad for you guys because we kind of left you on the couch for most of this. I feel
That's
really
fine.
bad.
We got to watch art.
Yeah, it's just awesome. But I think apart from that, unfortunately, that's going to bring us to the end. Ironically, dead on 2 hours, so not bad at all. Yeah. We started at about 4:07, 4:08 p.m. It's now 6:08 p.m., so not bad at all. As promised, provided nothing bad happens to me, I will fire out 2 loot crates at the end of this, so keep an eye out for that. LootScape.
I think I see the CEO coming.
Mod Pips is on the way. So yeah, we're going to fire out 2 of them, one for animation and one for modeling. That's my excuse, so enjoy it. Kind of like a thank you to you guys for just sticking through us through the stream. So yeah, thank you so much for that. But apart from that, one other note to mention, patch notes teasers are coming back. So I'm going to be doing the patch notes teasers again on Friday at 4 p.m. game time. I used to do them a lot later, but the reason for that is because of travel, which kind of plays a factor on late night streams now. So patch note teasers are coming back on Friday, and I'll be going through the Karamjan Idols content, some of it, not all of it. I don't want to spoil too much. But also going through some of the updates you can expect on next Monday's update. So hopefully you'll enjoy that as well. As always, LootScape will be enabled for that. Also, but I'm not giving away 2 for that one. There's only 1 stream there. So apart from that, thank you guys so much. I think it's safe to say you're getting very hyped for mining and smithing, which is what we love to see. And hopefully we've tried to answer how much as we can. But apart from that, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and have a good one.
Cheers.
Bye.